Welcome to the Mavens of Marketing, a weekly podcast hosted by me, Rachel Durkan.
And me, Kerry Barrett. We talk all things marketing, innovation, sales, and business growth strategies, and the standard tried and true marketing techniques.
Come for the conversation, stay for the savvy insights.
And the borderline inappropriate jokes.
Welcome to this episode of the Mavens of Marketing. I am one half of your lovely and talented co-hosting duo, Kerry Barrett, joined by the equally lovely and talented co-hosting duo too,
Rachel Durkan. You forgot my name? Really?
I tied myself into a knot with that sentence.
How many co-hosts do you also have that I don't know about?
I don't, you know what? None.
When else have you made this mistake?
Let the record show.
We're off to a great start today. I like that it's just you and me today.
It wasn't your name that I forgot. It was like the structure of the sentence.
It was what I mean to you.
It was much more basic than that. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And I can already see that we're off to a fantastic start because it's just you and me today. So I don't see how we could possibly go wrong.
What could go wrong?
Well, I have my 3-year-old screaming in the background to let it go in a Snow White costume. So a lot could go wrong.
You know what? There's something you can mix and match your princesses these days.
That's true.
I am excited for our topic today, which is the video funnel, the funnel situation, which is, now that everybody is sort of, I don't want to say everybody, most of us are beginning to realize that this online space is something that we have to learn how to master and attract people even when we're not able to get in front of them, like face to face. And so one of the ways to do that, it's certainly you're the master of you're the maven of all things marketing. I sort of know the video component of it, but the video funnel is something that's growing and has been so wildly successful for some of the people that I work with that, we figured it was a great thing to talk about. I'd love for you, Rachel, to give sort of an overview of what a funnel is. And then let's talk about how to add some video to that and sort of put it on steroids.
Yeah, because in our last episode, we were discussing how virtual events are taking over in-person events for obvious reasons, and how the way in which we interact and market and have that touch process is changing. Yeah. And so I think it's really important that I recap what the touch process is, because a funnel is important, especially in today's world, whether you're a B2B company that with a complex sale that's going to require human interaction, or you're you're selling a course or an e-com product where you're facilitating everything automatically. But the concept of a funnel is that on average, it takes 9 to 13 touches to build trust in your brand, which means your audience has to engage with you 9 to 13 touches times in a different way, whether that's through social media or email marketing or shaking somebody's hand or going to the website. All of that is a touch, and the goal is to facilitate that process. And so these concepts of a funnel are things that drive people to the next touch. So I always say in marketing, your call to action shouldn't necessarily be buy my product, buy my product, buy my product. It should be go to the next touch because you have to build trust. Yep. So I'll give you an example of a funnel that would be in a B2B environment, and I'll tie in virtual events to it that we talked about in the last episode. So we have an event coming up called the Sales and Marketing Roundtable. So in order to market to get people to come to that roundtable, that's the hook in our entire funnel, right? So the hook can be a download tool. It can be a resource. It's going to be anything that gets somebody to convert from this high level world of kind of looking at you to them giving you their information. So now you're dating. It's not a one-way stalking situation anymore. It's a two-way engagement now. That's the concept of the hook. So in order to get people into that funnel, I might have 3, 4, or 5 touches beforehand of a social media advertisement, or maybe an email blast with a publication, or word of mouth that's going to get people to download this resource or to register for this event. And then once they've registered for it and they come to the event, there's going to be an engagement follow-up strategy afterwards. So let's say we had 3 touches beforehand to get them to the hook. They came to the hook. That was the 4th touch. Then we're going to have 1 or 2 emails after that. Maybe even in those emails, we'll offer additional resources that gets them into a new funnel and so on and so on. Now, ultimately, if you plan these right, whether you're a B2B with a complex sale, or you're a consumer product and you're just trying to sell everything online, you're going to get to a point in that funnel as they go down the buying behavior process where they're actually buying or having a conversation with you. Yes. And so that's the concept in a lot of words of how a funnel works. Now, I love it. Video, which I know you're going to talk about today, is a great way to improve those funnels, because in that funnel process, let's pretend there's 9 touches that are in this funnel that I've made up. You always want to analyze the data on when people are falling off in the funnel. When do they disappear? When do they jump out of your funnel and not come, they don't want to, maybe they unsubscribe from your email, or they just don't go to the next touch. Right. And so we're always analyzing every touch to see how we can improve that touch to get them to the next one. And video is a fantastic tool for that. So I'll let you talk about that, Kerry.
Yeah, well, it is interesting. You're right. And it depends too, you mentioned B2B and B2C, and absolutely that factors into it. These can work for all sorts of businesses, but I think part of it is understanding too, the price point. There are some things that people will buy online if they're under a certain, price point. And some say it's $2,000 and others say it's 100. It depends a little bit on how much your audience is familiar with you and a bunch of other things, the standard in your industry, et cetera. But video allows you to further make that connection in a way that text really can't. And I think where this is applicable is if you look at the data, and this is not a specific individual or person, this is just overall looking at how video affects the click-through rates and improves the ROI on video funnels, certainly on video emails, et cetera, which is a part of a funnel. Generally speaking, when you add video to multiple portions of this funnel or your email sequence or whatever, you'll see your click-through rates increase by as much as 300%. That's the latest statistic on what video in a funnel can do. And also decrease your unsubscribe rates by about 75%. So people are more likely to click through, and even the ones who do not are less likely to hit unsubscribe. So they remain on your email list and you can continue to touch them.
What kind of videos? I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
No, go ahead.
What kind of videos do you think do you need to impact that? And here's what I mean by that. I get clients coming, I'm sure you hear this too, coming to me all the time, like, well, do I need a professional production, like a commercial? Yeah. Can I do something where that's minorly, I don't know, this is not like amateur-ish, where, I speak and then I have some editing before and after. Can I just record on my phone and pray to God it works? Like, what is the level of commitment we need to have a good video?
You really don't need a lot of commitment. I think that, listen, you can't have if you're going to be trying to increase your credibility, especially with people who may not already know you, depending on how you're putting the funnel out there and marketing it. Are you driving ads, driving eyeballs to it through ads, which are people who don't know you, they're cold-ish leads, versus somebody who's already on your email list, right? And so we have a level of expectation when it comes to this kind of video. That's that we can see your face, that your camera shot isn't all like shaky and jiggly, that your background is not distracting or unprofessional, and that we can hear you, right? So I wouldn't suggest, unless it's germane to your particular industry, right? You're a fitness coach or something like, and there may be some natural movement in the camera when you're showing people what you're doing. Outside of that, I wouldn't shoot on your phone. I would always have a stationary setup, whether it's your home office or your office or wherever it is. People get caught up in all of that. Does it need to be pristine? It does not. It needs to be user-friendly, but you don't need to bring in a production crew. I shoot video funnels or even video ads all the time, just from the setup that I have now. And this is something that is in place, and it's stationary in my office, but it's a webcam and it's a podcasting mic, and I'm recording it in Zoom. Mm-hmm. And so the thing about putting together a video funnel is that it really doesn't have, it needs to be strategic, certainly, but it doesn't have to be professionally shot. You can do this in your home as long as you have the right setup. A video funnel is basically, and there's some variation, but overall, what a video funnel is basically like 3 sort of short-ish, and I'll dive into that in just a second, value-added videos, meaning you're not selling, you are providing value, right? So maybe it's like a small, 3-part mini course where you're teaching somebody something. And then there's a 4th video that has that call to action. So you're setting up your, it's almost like you're giving a solution in the first one, but now that you've gotten through this solution, there's like another little pain point that pops up. Are you interested about how to solve that? Click, here comes the next video. And then you're solving that problem. And then, there's another little pain point and you're leading people through the way that you work and you're giving them value. And anytime you can give somebody value, they watch a video and there's like, oh, wow, I can like implement that today. Now they're associating that win with you. And that's a good thing. You want people to, because each time they get a win, when they watch you, you're moving them further into that like trust area, right? That know, like, trust.
I think this this isn't anything new, but it's a better way, or it's a new way, right? It's like the same concept, better day.
And that 100%.
When we're talking about buying funnels and relationships, I always tell my team, like, the basics of social media, for example, 101, when we started out with like the world of Facebook, 80% of your content needs to be informational and of value to your audience. And 20% can be salesy. And I actually think that number's probably gotten worse. It's like a 20-year-old stat, right?
It probably has.
We're probably so like 95.5.
Yeah, no.
But in this world, especially of COVID, where we're much more remote, and I don't think we're ever going to be less remote. We're always going to be in this world moving forward.
Well, and just to piggyback on that, I think during this time, if you've done it right, you've probably established relationships or clients that are outside of the zone in which you'll ever have the opportunity to meet in person without like lengthy traveling. And so if you want to maintain those relationships, you're going to have to figure out how to maintain them and cultivate them in a non-face-to-face sort of environment. So sorry, I jumped in there, but go on.
But you're right. And video is a way to build relationships now. And it's funny, after our last podcast, I was a little sad. I'm happy, but I'm sad because we've talked about how it's a new way of selling and a new way of building relationships and getting people to know, like, and trust you. And there's no more or very few handshakes and meals and coffee. And that, you're right. You spend 1 hour with somebody personally, the relationship is exponentially tighter than watching 4 videos. But the name of the game, unfortunately, now is these videos. This is how we build trust. This is how we get people to know, like, and trust us, right?
Yeah.
And but it's the same concept in that before in the funnels, at the top of the funnel, we gave away this much information because we gave them what they think they wanted. We always do that. So I'll give you an example. We were a marketing strategy agency. Social media, I believe, in your B2B marketplace, for the most part, in and of itself, is going to not produce an ROI. Just posting on Facebook, random crap every day, is not going to get your return on investment.
No.
But 90% of the clients that come to us because they're like, I need social media marketing. And I'm like, you need so much more than that. But we have social media top and center on our website because it's what the client thinks they need. So that's kind of step one, what they think they need. And then as you push them through this funnel and you educate them and you build trust, the message has to shift. And I think that video gives you this opportunity, like you said, to shift that message, but at the same time, build trust that really you can't build any other way right now. And that's why it's so important.
And I think too, especially if you are in a business where your client or your potential client, if you're courting somebody, if you're still in that stalker situation,
it's where I like to be.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Tiger and prey, or that's right. Predator and prey. I'm joking. That's terrible. Let's edit
now this is getting weird. People are going to start Unsubscribing.
But when you are, don't unsubscribe. I promise we're not weird. When you are somebody who's interacting with your client directly. So for example, you are a coach, or maybe you're a consultant, or, whatever, your face is the one that they see, or your face is the one, or your name is the one that's on the side of the building, or whatever it is. Having that video allows that person to get a better idea of what it's going to be like working with you specifically. Even if they're only working with you in a virtual environment, you're not coaching them in person, or you're not sitting down around a conference table for a consulting session with their team, you're doing it virtually. It will give them a taste of your personality. Will you guys gel? Will you mesh? And so you're giving them sort of as close to a personal sort of in-person environment as you can in the digital world. So for example, I'll let you know one of the funnels that I'm working on right now. So coming up at the end of each month, I'm going to be doing what I'm calling the VIQ, Video Intelligence Quotient 5-day crappy video challenge. And I'm driving people to the registration page. There's a link in my email and on social, and certainly it'll go out to my email list. And I may use some ad dollars to create video ads and drive people that way as well. But when you sign up, each day you get an exclusive 10-minute video training. And then there is a video that you have to post as part of this 5-day crappy video challenge. So the first funnel is all about getting comfortable on camera and what you need to keep up here in terms of your mindset. So then you have to post a video that's based on that, and you get critique and feedback. Then the next part of the funnel is the biggest mistakes, why you're here, what are the mistakes you're making. Now we're posting a video with I'm bringing people down that 5-day line. Once you've completed, then you have the option to potentially, work together a little bit further. All of that stuff is free. Now, do you want group coaching, or do you want a consulting session, or do you want a digital course? But you're bringing people through that, at least I am in this particular case, with these sort of mini training sessions, right? So that's the video, and they're 8 to 10 minutes. That's sort of standard. You can make them shorter, but the trend right now is towards longer video. And then offer them something at the end that is a purchase product, right? So it can be as simple as that.
And it's the concept, this goes into course marketing, right? Which is a similar concept. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, the way I like to think about it. Yeah. So freshman is that master class or these videos. Sophomore is a very low cost, automated, get involved with us. Junior is, all right, we'll have some person time in this and we'll start engaging a little bit more, and it's more expensive. And then senior is like the VIP group. And in that process, just like in a funnel, you're going to have more people at the freshman level at a low cost, and less people at the senior level, but at a higher cost. So think of like the Tony Robbins of the world who are charging $50,000. Those are all senior level people. They had to go through a brand building trust process to get there. And so it's the same concept, but on a smaller level.
And let me ask you this. I know when people are putting out video funnels, the general cadence is like between each video is about 24 hours. How do you stack them, or does it vary when you're doing a funnel that's not centered around video?
We always change it and test it. So just like 3 weeks ago or 2 months ago, if I were to ask you what's the standard time for a video, you would have said a minute. And now it's 8, right? It changes. So on the population and how your consumer is changing in their mindset. So we'll always shift it. So for example, if it's B2B, I'm going to try to avoid the weekends or only do Sunday night. I'm definitely not going to do Saturday morning. If it's a consumer product, I'm going to do different timing. If it's a lower cost product, I'm probably, and we're not doing any other marketing, I'm probably going to hit them more often. If they're engaging with us in other ways, I'm going to spread it out. So it really just depends on the industry and the audience.
Yeah, bringing it all together. It all really comes down to that. I mean, video can put all of this stuff on steroids, but you also have to know, like, you're right, who your audience is, what is the price point, and how does what I'm offering speak to that? And will it bring them all the way through? I mean,
And
video has a great ROI, but if it really sucks or your offer stinks or it's too expensive, doesn't matter what you put up there, you're not going to bring people to the end.
it also varies on the intent, right? So
Yeah.
for yours, you're asking people to sign up. They have an expectation of what they're getting. They're not going to get like touch fatigue, right?
Right.
But if I'm getting somebody to come to an event, they're not really signing up for the follow-up. So it's a little bit
Right.
different. We've got to spread it out a bit more. So it really also depends on the intent during that hook phase.
How they're coming to you.
Mhm,
Right?
exactly.
How warm or cold are they? That makes perfect sense. It is, I do think that you mentioned couple minutes ago, the difference between not just the cadences of the emails, but how the length of the video has changed as well. And I want to just sort of backtrack for a second, because we talked, it used to be 1, now in a situation like this, it's probably closer to 8 to 10 minutes. And one of the things that people can get caught up in is like, what the heck is it that I'm going to sit and talk about for 8 to 10 minutes to make something compelling? And when you're thinking about putting together something like this, don't get so caught up in your face being on camera or anything like that. If you are somebody who's interacting with your clients directly, it should be at least a good part of that video should be you offering the value. But if you want to show something else, and I'm going to pick just like a very easy example to understand. Let's say you're a B2C business and you're a cake decorator. You're like teaching people how to show some of that, right? When you're talking about what it is that you do, you're giving someone the basics of, creating a floral design. Like you can show some of that, right? So think visually what will intrigue people. But if you don't have a natural visual component of your business, it's going to have to be you, because you're the face, you're the subject, you're the visual for your clients. So think about what you can show that's outside of your face. And if you don't have it, that's fine. You just need to make sure that you're really delivering.
Well, I think there's always something, we're B2B and we do that. And it's a great cheat too, because I'm not like you, Kerry. When I have to do a 30-second promo takes me 10 minutes and I curse a lot in between. Like we should just do promos of the
That's not just you.
So it's a great cheat in that if I can do a promo and I have 30 seconds and then I have to cut it and then 30 seconds because I messed up 4 times. Do it. And then there's a skip right in the video. Doing the layover is a great strategy to cover that up. But we do things like put slides up, put infographics up about what you're talking about. If we're talking about virtual events, we'll do a voiceover of virtual, or we'll do an image display of the events. Or if we're talking about this podcast, we can show our guests on and having a conversation. So there's always something you can do. And I actually think, that's like 101 in messaging. People get bored. Like no one watching this video wants to stare at you and I, maybe all day long. Of course, your statistics say differently on social media, Kerry. But besides
that's not true.
Besides that, having movement and having it cut to different things actually improves the quality of the video. I actually think that's really important.
It does. It breaks it up visually. Absolutely. Like some sort of visual emphasis. So you're right. If you don't have an inherently visual business, figuring out, right, either yourself or with your team, like what are the infographics or what are those other shots that I can show that or demonstrate what it is that I'm talking about. But you're right. I want to hammer home what you said. Like it can take a number of takes to get it right. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking about putting together, you're watching, you're thinking about trying to, implement this strategy on your own, recognize that you won't get it right away, at least in terms of the on-camera stuff. It'll take you a couple of times. I have a friend who shot her first video funnel last year, and it took her 117 takes.
How much wine?
She did to the course of 2 days to get it down. But her ROI for each one of those takes was $4,000. So she would have done, 250 if she needed to, but just don't get frustrated. I think that implementing anything in marketing requires testing. And this is something that, a lot of the audience knows, those who've been in business for a while, and those who are just sort of sticking their toe into figuring out how they can ramp things up. All of this requires testing, and all of it requires knowledge and understanding, and recognize that there will be moments where things fail, or you feel uncomfortable, or you don't know what to say. And all that is let's take a moment and take a deep breath and take a closer look at what we're doing and figuring out how we can optimize it. But the camera thing, you're not alone in that. Just don't let it frustrate you. Don't let it deflate your sales.
I also think it's really important to mention that it's not just for individuals who want to do this. So for example, a lot of our clients are bigger companies, and I'll give you a great example. We've got a couple very large law firms we work with. The poor marketing director in these firms trying to get the attorneys to show up and do the video. They're not committed. It's not their day job. It's not what they need to be doing. But there's, again, going back to the overlays, there's a way to do it. If you write a script and you get somebody to read it, or you read it yourself, and then you pull together action shots of just people working together, that in and of itself can be a good video.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't have to be, though it's very beneficial to have the individual doing it, it doesn't have to be that. It can be done without, sucking the time out of your attorney or your whoever it is you're trying to promote. So I just want to make sure that concept is clear to everybody.
Is clear, right? You're 100%. It's applicable to all businesses in all shapes and sizes and types, but it's understanding what the challenges are going to be when you're working with a team, or you're right, people on who this is not their thing. They don't want to do it.
So Kerry, we're running up on time, but since we usually ask our guests, what's the weirdest thing that ever happened to you? And I thought of it first, I'm going to ask you the weirdest thing, and then you have to close the show out because we don't have any more time.
Oh, then you're up next, girlfriend. Where do I begin? I will tell you, this story, I'm pretty sure. The weirdest thing that ever has happened to me, outside of the news industry, and there's a lot of weird stuff there, but I was on a vacation in Alaska with my husband and his best friend and his best friend's wife. And I didn't know them super well at the time. I'd only met them once or twice, but we thought that an RV trip to Alaska for 3 weeks would be great. And it was. Nevertheless, you could go a couple of days without taking a shower or a bath when you're in an RV in the wilderness of Alaska. So we pulled up to this campground, and John and his friend were going to go to the convenience store, and me and my friend hopped out to take a desperately needed shower. And we were, we're sloppy, sweats. We haven't bathed in a number of days. It's just not a good look. And we were walking over to the shower area, and the camp director came up, or the campground supervisor, or whatever they're called, and was like, "I'm sorry, ladies." I don't know why I'm giving him a Southern accent. I don't think he had one. This campground is a family campground. It's not for people like you. And I was I'm like, what do you mean? My husband is here. I don't understand.
Did you see me on TV with my Emmy?
Well, this is way back when I was still working in Wichita Falls, Texas. And he repeated himself, and I looked at my friend and she looked at me. He thought that we were Alaskan campground hookers. And he was booting us out. And I was like, I don't know whether to be pissed off or flattered, or a combination of the two.
I think you were pretty pissed.
Standards are quite low for campground hookers in Alaska. Nevertheless, once I got over that, I was pretty ticked off. But yeah, being mistaken for an Alaskan campground hooker is one of the weirdest things that's ever happened. And I know what yours is, and you know what they say about payback, Rachel. Next time. Before we go, let's give people a quick chance to figure out how they can connect with you. Rachel, where should they go?
You can go to our website, Paradigm, Paradigm, that's how you spell Paradigm, -MD, like marketing and design.com.
Fantastic. I'm kerrybarrett.com. With that said, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Mavens of Marketing. We'll see you back here next week, same time, same place. Bye.